Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stories of Significance here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. I am joined here by Mr. Mike Teague, like always. Welcome in.
Hello. We are back.
We are back, and we are ready to bring you another awesome story for one of our student athletes. This time, Emily Howard off the Vanguard softball team. So, Mike, you were actually the one that got to sit down with Emily. What was your biggest takeaway from the conversation that our listeners will hear in a couple minutes?
Yeah, Emily's one of those student athletes who got so involved during her time here at Vanguard, and hearing her story, how she got to Vanguard, how she got involved, and the way that she's wanted to not just make an impact on the lives of maybe her softball teammates, but also on this Vanguard community and kind of leave a legacy. That's what really stood out to me. And she's someone, as you know as well, is honestly such a special person. And I think that this campus is going to miss her tremendously when she leaves after this year. But she's got so much on her plate, and she handles it so well and with such class and dignity. And yeah, it was a great conversation just to hear her heart and why she's wanted to get involved here on campus as well.
It's kind of been funny because Emily Howard, she seems like she's been a senior here for 4 years, right? Just because she knows everybody, super gregarious, outgoing, all that, and always involved in activities on campus. So we're more than happy now to turn it over to the conversation that Mike Teague had with Emily Howard here on the Stories of Significance podcast channel.
All right, welcome back into our podcast studio here on the Stories of Significance on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. Today we have Emily Howard with us. Emily Howard, member of our softball team. Emily, welcome here to the podcast studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so why don't you I could introduce you, but why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, major, class, sport, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so my name is Emily. I am a senior, currently graduating this spring, 2020. I am a kinesiology major. I decided to do the pre-health route. Most people do the athletic-ish type route, but I wanted to do the pre-health, wondering about nursing, not sure. And then I have a religion minor. So that was something that I got through Vanguard, and I'm excited about that. And yeah, of course, my sport is softball.
Yeah, awesome. And so you mentioned the religion minor. Not many students, some students know about it. I think when they're coming in, know about it. What made you decide to, pursue that religion minor that I think not a lot of students at Vanguard do, but it's only, 2 extra classes, right?
Yeah.
What made you decide to want to do that?
I think, there wasn't a whole lot of extra classes that had to go into it. And then I actually kind of changed my major around once I got here. I started with psych and then went to bio and then decided on kines. And, religion was always one of the ones, do I want to major in that? And I figured it would be a perfect opportunity to get the minor rather than the major, so that way I could focus on the kinesiology major and getting kind of a medicine experience under my belt for my future, and then have that religion more for a personal gain or spiritual gain to really experience and learn what I wanted to about God, not through the major but through the minor. So it ended up working out really well, and I got to take professors from the religion department that I really wanted to continue to learn from. And then actually studied abroad in Israel one summer during my Vanguard career. So that totally counted towards my minor, and that was a no-brainer. So that worked out perfectly.
Yeah, any chance that you get to travel and it counts towards school, right? That's easy.
Yeah.
Easy choice there.
Yep, exactly.
So we'll jump into kind of what you've done at Vanguard in a little bit, but I want to know, how did you end up at Vanguard? Softball is probably a big part of it, but what was your journey to get here?
Yeah, it's crazy. I always tell everyone it's totally a God story because my grandfather actually lives out in Balboa Beach. He's passed since, but I grew up in Newport Beach almost every summer of my life, and I never had ever heard about Vanguard, even though I've driven past it several times.
Yeah.
I feel like most people say that, but ultimately, I was playing travel ball softball, looking for schools to, play softball at, make my collegiate dream a reality. And I had a friend, her name's Brooke. She was at Vanguard, and she invited me up just to hang out. And I was still in the process of trying to find a scholarship. And I stepped on Vanguard's campus, and I said, what on earth is this place? I love it. I want to be here. And I didn't even know they had softball. I didn't even care at that point. I was like, Vanguard, I need to come here. And I like greeted her for 20 minutes and I said, wait, I need to hop on my phone. And I like Googled Vanguard softball. The coaches popped up and we connected and everything just fell into place like perfectly. Scholarship was there, academic aid was there. And next thing I knew, I was applying and coming here. So it was just amazing to know that like this was such a home for me growing up in the summertime, like with all my cousins and family. And then to know that Vanguard was 10 to 15 minutes right down the road was like incredible. So I love it here, and I will never regret that decision of knowing that God had me here for a reason.
Yeah. What do you think it was that drew you in initially? You said you stepped on campus and you loved it. You know, without even knowing softball was even a chance. What kind of drew you in? What was that thought of yours like, man, like I love this?
Yeah. Well, I for sure knew I wanted to go to Christian university. So that right away I was like, oh, this is a Christian university. This kind of sounds silly, but I loved the palm trees.
Oh, nice. Yep.
And I just saw them swaying, and I really connect with God a lot with like through nature. And like it was just a sunny, beautiful day in SoCal, and I was like, this is awesome. The weather's perfect. And then of course, like just walking around and talking to different students with Brooke, you could just really obviously feel that community and that vibe that like God is really working here, and it's small and you know people and you see familiar faces, and I think that's mainly what did it for me was the kind people and really just seeing myself on this small campus, like having a voice.
Yeah. And for you mentioned that voice. Over the past 4 years, you've really gotten involved and really wanted to not just be a student athlete, but truly get involved on campus. Why don't you tell people, I mean, for those that don't know, like tell people what you've been able to get involved with and how maybe that's impacted your experience here at Vanguard.
Yeah. So right off the bat, freshman year, I knew like, yeah, I'm an athlete and I'm on the softball team and I love that. But I also wanted to expand my growth and like really meet people even outside of athletics and just kind of be wild. Honestly, I was staying up late, like just meeting friends and learning about people and learning about myself. And it was just, freshman year was incredible. It was like the most amazing year of my life. But I knew like right away that I wanted to be more involved, like either look for a job or a leadership, something on campus. And a lot of my friends were applying for leadership. And I think a part of me was like, oh, like I'm still young. I need to focus on my team on softball. So I ended up not applying my freshman year to do anything. But then sophomore year through the athletic department, I was a Lions leader, which was really fun. So I got to counsel some freshmen or transfer students who came in, and it was kind of just a small group setting. And that was really fun to like be involved inside of athletics. And then I was like, this is awesome. Like I love kind of having a position to be able to help people. And so that's kind of what drove me my junior year to apply for program board, which was like kind of the event planning committee on campus through the Office of Student Engagement. And I thought it would be perfect to kind of combine my calling here, which was mainly what I felt as kind of bringing athletes and regular students together and kind of bridging that gap that sometimes you feel as an athlete or as a student that you don't totally connect with other students on campus. So through program board, I was the athletics director, and I got to kind of initiate and like upbring the Roar, which was the student section. There is the student section.
Yeah.
And that was super fun because I was always thinking on my mind, like, how can I get students to come out to watch athletic events, and how can we like bring hype and allow people to just have community and make friends. So that was super great. I loved program board, and I loved planning the other like dances and JSB and all of that, and working for Cindy was just amazing. So much growth that year. And then obviously I couldn't stop there. I was just loving leadership and loving being involved and having a say with like what happens on campus.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, I really want to be an RA. I've always wanted to be an RA. My dream was to be an RA for Laguna, but I knew that would be way too much with also remaining on softball.
Right.
So then I was like, well, why can't I just apply for like an upperclassman dorm?
Yeah.
And so that ended up working out. I applied and got the job, and that's been a great experience too. Again, I love my team, I love my boss, and it's been really cool to be involved in the residence life arena on campus as well.
Yeah.
And then again, I did say, I traveled abroad in Israel, and I feel like I just kind of imported myself into like different events going on campus. Even if I wasn't involved, like I would always try to get to that prayer night or that random event where people are going out to the beach. It didn't really matter. I just wanted to be around people and building community, and that's really what I felt I got out of Vanguard.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just everything you said right there. I think a lot of times student athletes come into it and they think, I'm not going to have time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for you, it sounded like you wanted to be intentional about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was something when you came to Vanguard, it wasn't just about sports. It was more about how can I make this experience better for me, and also how can I impact the community. And so in the 4 years, do you feel like you have gotten the most out of your experience? And you still have, it's like 13 weeks or something like that. But do you feel that you've gotten the most out of that experience so far? And is there anything you look back on and think that was the highlight so far of what I've done?
Yeah, I totally feel like I've gotten the experience that I dreamed of for college. I would say even over expectation. I think, again, I said this before, but freshman year was so much fun, and I really met some great girls that I'm still friends with to this day.
Yeah.
I just think Vanguard was such the perfect place for me to like grow and discover who I am and really propel me into what life has ahead for me.
Yeah. Before I jump into the softball side of things, any advice you'd give to maybe some student athletes who are listening in, maybe some even younger students, freshmen, sophomores who want to jump into leadership but are thinking, I don't know if it'll fit. Like any advice for them as they kind of look into doing that?
Just do it. Like I've been telling everyone who wants to apply, like just apply. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know if I'd get the job or if it would work out with my schedule, but I just applied. I literally was sitting at my softball tournament and I had like 10 minutes and I literally submitted my application because I was like, why not? All my friends are. And then the next thing led to that I was on program board, and the staff was so willing to work with me, work with my schedule, work with my games. And both years it hasn't been an issue. There's been little to no conflict, which is crazy to think that that's how it turned out. But I never felt like I had to fall short on my dedication to the team, to my softball team, or to my leadership team. So it for sure is doable. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some late nights and some communication that you have to get across, but it's so worth it. And you guys just have to do it. It's awesome.
Awesome. Like, Nike, just do it, right?
Yeah,
that's all it is. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Love how much you've gotten involved, and I think it's not just impacted our athletics department, but also just the school in general. For those of you who haven't come out to a Roar game before, that thing's awesome. And that's something that Emily, that was kind of her brainchild of getting that going. So thanks for starting to get that all set up. That's
of course.
So let's hop into softball. You guys are just getting in the beginning of the season. Although beginning of the season, it's like you guys have already played 10 games or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys jump right into it in the spring. What's the season been like so far for you? You jumped into senior year. How's it been so far?
This season has been awesome. It's been completely different from the past. We do have new coaches this season. So for 3 years, I was used to something, and now I'm used to trying to get used to, new coaches and ultimately kind of a new program just because of leadership. But it's been great. Like we've all come together a lot more and like tried to figure out what we are about and how to have success like together and as a team, and what that looks like. Because obviously we lost seniors and we have new freshmen and new coaches, and so we're just kind of still figuring out how does that all come together and how does that make Vanguard softball. So there's been kind of a roller coaster of like figuring out that consistency, and I think we've been doing a good job of it, especially with our tournament this last weekend. I believe we're 8-3 now, but we're still figuring out like how to be more consistent and still finding victories and wins through that. But I think there is still a lot of growth, which kind of excites me that we're not just coming out like dominating, because I think it's something that we need to learn how to work for and how to, earn the wins.
Right.
So in practice, we've been talking about that and trying to figure out like, how are we going to continue to accelerate forward and increase and not plateau or anything like that.
Yeah. How's it been with having Coach Freeman here. She was an accomplished player of her own. Did you know anything about her accomplishments when she was hired? Like, had you heard of?
Yeah, I remember reading up on her bio, and I was like pretty shook. I was like, whoa.
How's it been working for her though? I know that she has a high standard for excellence. And what has it been like for you to learn under Coach Freeman?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is respect. Like, I think everyone on our team just has her respect so easily just because of her accomplishments. And she really holds herself high and confident. So that kind of allows us to like really respect who she is and what she's all about, which I think is important for a leader. And it's been great to be coached under her. She's very, I wouldn't say casual, but just like she puts it on you to put the work in, and she's not afraid to push you to the next level, but she also just like brings the individual development out of you by, I guess, motivating you through a different way than I've ever been used to. But it's such a positive thing because there's so much clarity and freedom, and it allows me to just like play loose, I guess, but also like compete at that level. And so, yeah, I think she's a great coach. She's super dedicated to the team, and she allows us to, work on what we need to work on to get better. And she really takes a lot of input from the seniors and myself, and really, I think, respects us as well because she knows she's new, and she really looks to us for that leadership and guidance. So that's an awesome dynamic there as well. But yeah, she's so great. I love her so much, and I'm learning a lot from her, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of a family affair for them. How's Alante been in the weight room for you guys?
Oh, Alante. We all love Alante so much. He actually was about 15 minutes late the last morning to weights, and he just kept asking for our forgiveness. It was funny. But no, he's super hype and loud and loves to push us, and he's making us really strong in that weight room, so we all love him.
Yeah, I've seen videos on your Instagram feeds and all that stuff. I'm like, man, like they're getting after it.
Yeah, we're working.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for you guys this season, last year you made it to the World Series. Special to get to that moment, right? Special to get there. I'm assuming the goal this year is to make it back.
Baby.
But what's kind of the team goal for you guys? I'm assuming is that. But what are kind of some goals that you guys have established? Maybe some personal goals as well as you kind of jump into this final year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course our goal is to get to Georgia. That's where it's going to be this year. So we always say that, in practice or during games, like Georgia bound, let's go. We need to work towards that. I think some other goals that we talked about, one being spiritual goals of, using softball in our sport and coming to Vanguard as a place where we can grow spiritually and grow closer to God. And so I'd say that's one of my main personal goals for the team. I love to be like a voice and a light in that regard, and I hope that the girls who are on the team feel comfortable to coming and praying with me or asking questions, because I just love talking about that. And I think that's been my personal goal every season here at Vanguard for softball. And I think I have seen a lot of development from the girls and from softball, so it's really exciting to see that people are here to play softball but also care about that part of their life too. And then again, I would say, just finding the consistency to continue to get the wins and push forward through the season, and figuring out how to be one team, hashtag quarter to one, but being that one team to come together and really pull out the wins to get to the end of that, for that end goal of Georgia.
That's good. Yeah. I've seen that hashtag quarter to one. Is that something that's like an internal thing, or you guys allowed to share like what that is? You can if it
it's internal, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little something, people ask, but we're not allowed to tell you until the end of season.
That's fine. That's fine. I totally get it. I respect it. So hopefully we find out after you guys get back from Georgia. So, as you're starting to transition into a phase where it's a transitional phase, right? And so you're moving from not just student athlete, but student at Vanguard into life, right? Mm-hmm. How do you think God's challenging you during that chapter? What do you think he's trying to show you in this time? How do you feel like he's maybe pushing you right now?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I think entering 2020 and my last semester as a senior, I really felt like the Lord was telling me to trust him. I feel like my word for 2020 is trust, and I mean, I guess for any postgraduate, that's a big word. Because I don't know exactly my route of what I want to do and where I want to go and what I want to take. So yeah, again, I'm trusting a lot on him to kind of lead me the same way he's led me my whole life. Because I know how faithful he is when I don't know what I'm doing. And so I don't find a lot of scarcity or fear with graduation. Like, I'm excited for it, but I also just don't have a plan yet, like a 5-year plan or anything like that. So I am doing a lot of trusting and praying as to see like what doors are going to open for me. But again, Vanguard's prepared me so much for that, and I also feel so blessed by God right now. When I look back at my education, even in my younger years, to like all the way up to Vanguard and how perfect and great my experience has been, that's such a blessing, and I thank him literally every day for that. So, like, I know that things might be rough, or I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep trusting and keep being faithful that, opportunities are going to come, and I'm going to figure it all out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think that's important that I think you have this great understanding of being present. And I think having witnessed the last word, I think you embody that, like, hey, I'm just going to be present right now and enjoy and take advantage of everything that's right in front of me instead of worrying about too much in the future, right?
Yeah.
And so that's good. And as you step out into that, that's something that's really important that a lot of people don't learn how to do. And so I think that's awesome. What are you looking to do? I mean, now that I say that, it's like, well, what are you looking to do in the future?
No, that's really good.
But no, what is it? You changed your major 3 times.
Yeah.
And so you don't even have to maybe say, like, what is it you want to do, but how is it maybe, like, what is that why for you? Like, what is pushing you forward and what would you like to be doing? What's kind of like that dream for you?
Yeah, so ultimately I decided on kinesiology, and it's ironic because that's the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to be the athlete who majored in kinesiology, but it happened. And through the classes and through my education, I was just eating it up. I loved it. I loved human anatomy, learning about all of the systems in our body. Like, that's another way I connect with God on a whole nother level. And just seeing his creation in us, like, totally gives me passion and, like, drives me. So, again, I'm trying to kind of figure out how do I use that passion in vocation or career or whatever. And so right now, some of my options that I'm thinking about is, like, going to medical school and becoming more involved in the medicine world, like nursing or maybe, something medicine-based. But then the other option that I kind of think about is maybe like the teaching side or the educational side of things, because again, I had a great experience in all of my learning, and I'd love to pour into students, like, through learning and through maybe being like a high school teacher of kinesiology or anatomy, or even possibly being a professor. So kind of looking into those 2 routes medicine-wise, and then also a whole other side of me is like, well, I love leadership and I love student affairs in college and working with college kids, and like even with my program board job and like residence life job, I've loved all of that world too. So I'm kind of like stuck and wondering, like, well, which route should I take now? If that doesn't mean I can't take both in the future. And what should I look for right away after college? So ultimately, I'm too late to apply to grad schools at this point, but for 2021, I'm planning on going to some either medical school or graduate school, depending on what I decide to do. And then I guess the third route that I kind of have in the back of my mind is going on a missions trip, maybe through like YWAM, doing like the 6-month experience where you learn and train, and then you're equipped to go out and do missions. So those are kind of the 3 things that I'm circling with in my brain and wondering, like, Lord, where are you going to lead me first? But like you said, I'm just trying to stay present in my last semester at Vanguard because I am still busy with softball and being an RA. So I don't want to graduate and think, where was I my last semester senior year? Like, I really want to stay focused and present with where I'm at before I start worrying about my future. So I'm hoping that that's a good plan and it doesn't eat me later, but we'll see.
You know what, I'm confident that it's all going to work out pretty well for you. Emily, for those of you who don't know, is one of those. We have a lot of special athletes on campus, and Emily's one of those who's just, you're going to do awesome things. And I think that just hearing your heart, even just now, and where you're going to end up and how God has shown up and been faithful to you so far, it's going to continue to happen. So thanks so much for kind of joining in here in the studio, and any kind of final words of wisdom to anyone who might be listening in, maybe student athletes in general.
Yeah, let's see here. Final words of wisdom. I think ultimately, as you are at Vanguard or wherever you're at in life, like, look towards the Lord and continue to pray and seek Him, because that's literally going to lead everything about your life. And He's going to direct you and give you answers when you're feeling lonely or sad or anxious or whatever it may be. Like, get in the Word, read, and pray to Him, and you'll know that your life is going to be changed forever. So really be intentional with that during your time at Vanguard, even as a student athlete, even if you're just here to play a sport. Like, there's so much more. And I really, truly believe, even hearing everyone's stories, like, everyone is at Vanguard because God brought them here. And it's crazy to see so many transformations. So just be present in that and allow Him to just wreck you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Allow the wreckage. Right?
Yeah, the wreckage.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining in again. And best of luck to you the rest of the season and the rest of your senior year.
Thank you so much, Mike Teague.
Welcome back here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. We hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Emily Howard, a middle infielder here on the Vanguard University softball team, as much as we did here in the studio. So, Mike, we're going to turn it back to you. What was your favorite thing that you talked about with Emily during your guys' brief chat?
Yeah, I think for me, I think she's kind of almost a trendsetter. Not that we haven't had student athletes who have gotten involved before, but she truly has gotten so involved on campus, and I think that she is an example of what we want our student athletes to do in regards to getting involved. We have said, like, guys, get involved, and she has jumped into it, and her heart has been to kind of bridge that gap between student athletes and non-student athletes, and she's done that through so many different events that she has created through the program board, and then creating the Roar section, like she's the creator of that, right? And so I think that, to me, like, her willingness to get out and just do things and just make this campus a better place than she left it, I think that was, to me, that was so special. And so that was just awesome conversation that we were able to have.
Yeah, and hopefully she started a little bit of a trend here, because last year she was a program board director, and then this year it's actually a student athlete. It's Kelsey Bryant on the women's soccer team, and so maybe next year it's going to be another student athlete. So really awesome conversation. Thanks so much for guiding us through that visit you had with Emily Howard. So we will see you guys next week here on Stories of Significance. Be sure to like and rate us wherever you find your podcast, whether that's Google Play, the Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or our friends that watch us via the video option on either YouTube or Facebook videos. So we thank you, and we will see you guys next week here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network.